Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
And Cody Geiler.
Hey, guys. What's up?
What's up?
Hey.
Welcome back. We are neck deep in some tons of news that we got to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Lots going on the last couple of weeks. Obviously, E3 dropped a couple weeks ago, so we got a lot to talk about with Jedi Fallen Order. I started Alphabet Squadron. I don't know if you guys started
Not
that
yet. Haven't yet.
I have not yet.
Yeah, I started Alphabet Squadron. Then, of course, some Star Wars Celebration news, stuff like that. So we'll get right into it. But I'll start off by saying we're 183 days away from the rise of Skywalker.
You will rise.
Oh, my God.
183 days.
Right. But there is some releases coming before that, namely Disney Plus with The Mandalorian, and of course, in November, Jedi Fallen Order is coming. Gameplay came out. Let's get right into it. Who's first?
Diving right in.
Go ahead, Cody.
You want me to-
Gameplay trailer.
Go.
Oh,
story.
man.
What did you digest from all this?
I just
Cody?
feel like, this is super exciting time. Because this game feels like it's it's been 9 years since we've had a single player Star Wars game. 9 years.
9 years.
Since when? Since
Force
Force
Unleashed
Unleashed 2?
2.
Wow.
That was the last single player Star Wars game,
Man.
which is just insane.
Yeah.
So this has a lot riding on it, obviously, but I'm super excited. I made a ton of notes, and I don't know if we can go through them all, but I just think it's interesting because when I watched it, I thought it was a lot different than I expected it to be. Mm-hmm. I don't really know what I expected. Maybe I expected like games that I've played before, like the Jedi Knight series, Jedi Outcast, things like that. But it was different in a good way because the pace of it felt a little bit slower than maybe what we've seen when you play as a Jedi before. But I think after looking at it and thinking about it, I think some of that slowness is actually it's a good change of pace for playing as a Jedi because you see some of the combat when Cal is on Kashyyyk, and it's like the lightsaber combat is a little more intimate, and it seems like you really have to focus on a specific stormtrooper or target and figure out how to find their weakness and break that down, and you can stab them and impale them with lightsaber and stuff, which is awesome. And I think that's just a different way to approach what real lightsaber combat might be.
Right.
Like if I really was going to engage somebody with a lightsaber, I wouldn't swing it and bounce off of them 20 times like a baseball bat until your health bar goes down. You would do a couple swings and you're done.
Done.
And I think it's really cool that they use
KOTOR.
that style. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of refreshing, I thought. As far as just the combat wise, and it gave me a lot of Uncharted vibes. If you guys have ever played that game, just like a very cinematic, epic sort of game where because he does some of that climbing and swinging on vines and stuff, and that stuff's kind of pulled pretty much from an Uncharted game, which is a nice way to do it because I think you get these moments in Uncharted where you'll climb through something and you get to this wide open vista, and you look out over, it's kind of like this Indiana Jones-esque adventure.
Sure.
But in this game, you get to those points where Cal walks out and the TIE fighters go overhead, and you're like, this just feels like Star Wars,
Totally.
So I was super excited seeing it.
It reminded me a lot. It did remind me a lot of Force Unleashed. I guess you just have your lone Jedi. It felt because it's even story wise, I can see some semblances because it's like you have, especially Force Unleashed. I guess more so 2, maybe 1. They can't blend together for me. But basically, how Galen gets involved with the rebels in that game.
Yeah.
You have Cal getting involved with Saul. I guess I don't know if they're calling themselves partisans at this point in the canon. I'm actually not too sure yet. But this is it's 5 years after
Saw Gerrera. What a surprise that was!
Huge surprise.
Yeah, and Forrest Whitaker, awesome. I saw another video. I think it was on the most recent Star Wars show where I always forget his name. The director, the director of the game. Being interviewed by Anthony
Stig Asmussen.
Yeah, how he was saying that they got Forrest Whitaker, I think 2 weeks before the event or whatever, before they were done with production, I guess, of the game.
2 weeks before E3?
I don't know if it was E3 or before they just wrapped production.
Probably before they,
I wonder who did the scratch track. Live.
Yeah.
Every day.
Oh, I love that job.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that they could get him to do that. And yeah, so there's some vibes to me of that. The vibe, like you said, Uncharted, and even the Jedi Academy games, because I remember even in that, the way you use the lightsaber, like slicing down stormtroopers, was kind of similar. Like you can get them down pretty quick and easily. Same with this, but like again, like you said, the combat and how you incorporate the lightsaber, it's very fluid and it feels very physical, which is a lot of fun. And you showed me, Cody, a couple of links of a couple other short clips of combat, which wasn't from the gameplay demo. Where was that from?
Yeah, so if you go to like the EA Star Wars website, they have like a Fallen Order part of that page, and then they've got like, you can read about the game. It talks about, you know, how you're going to play as a Jedi. You can traverse these multiple planets, and then you can go to different parts of it to see concept art. And if you go to the gameplay portion, there's like 3 different videos. One of them's like your force powers, and it just kind of is like a quick cut of a lot of stuff from the gameplay of you, like force pushing,
that freezing kind of thing. Which
the Kylo
like
thing,
push and pull at the same time is how you explain
that.
it.
I mean, that's nuts because that's we've only seen Kylo ever do it.
I know.
That.
That's one thing I'll talk about here in a second.
But there's moves where it feels very much like an Assassin's Creed or Batman Arkham game where you're fighting multiple opponents at once, and your combat dictates that. Where you're looking at one guy and you slice him, but then you don't even look. You stab a guy behind you with the lightsaber, and like I love that. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yes.
And a little more fluid.
Exactly.
Because, the gameplay was, it felt slowed down.
Yeah.
And then in that clip, it looks like you'll have a lot of choice when you play. Like, that guy played slow and methodical. But if you want to go in and just hack with your lightsaber, you could do it. You might die, but you can try it. You
fight
know?
those worship. I can't ever forget how to say that name. Spiders.
The Y-Shock?
Y-Shock spiders.
Yeah.
The Kashyyyk spiders. The big things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Stig also talking about the open worldness of it, where I like the slow gameplay because that lends itself to more of that open world. Like you can experience the environment, you can experience other stories and other side quests and whatnot, and so you can play it at your own pace. You're not forced, like Force Unleashed, to go to one objective and only that one objective.
Right.
Very linearly. Like this is less linear in that regard, where you can planet hop, as he put it, as you want, kind of thing.
Which sounds kind of like
exciting,
like KOTOR.
Yeah, you can planet hop in KOTOR, but that had that very much like Final Fantasy. You're sitting there loading on a screen for a long time and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping this is less like that. But I was definitely surprised, pleased with what I saw, excited. But of course, I want more. I wanted more. Not necessarily a story, but I just wanted to see more of the gameplay. I wanted to see more examples of the open worldness. Like, I want to see an example of him getting in a ship and how it looks going to another planet. Just, kind of cool to see that ahead of time, but I'm definitely happy with what I saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was definitely, it was very surprising to see Saul because, of course, I'm a huge, and probably more so than I should be. I'm obviously very tied into the canon of things, and right away, into my fault. Right when I see him, I'm thinking, okay, at what point is this game, and why does he look like that, and
why does he not have his hair?
Why is he bald? Well, being bald, I guess, makes sense, but it's like it's not that far from Clone Wars. So
I actually had it flipped to what I thought it was, because we talked about it a little not too long ago. But I had his appearances flipped. I thought he had the hair early on, and he was bald later. But I had
he had hair in Clone Wars. Right, very short hair.
Well, during the Clone Wars, when he was young,
when he was younger.
Yeah.
But this is only This is only supposed to be like 5-6 years later.
After the Order of 66,
yeah.
But this is more in line with Rogue One. This is a year before that.
Yeah,
that
and
prologue.
do you remember in Rogue One, the very first shot of him?
Yeah.
He was this. He was bald.
Exactly.
Bald with a little bit of a beard or something.
It matches that.
Yeah.
So they made him younger. They aged him more in Rogue One in the very last cut. They gave him a more gray beard and a big afro. But in this, I still don't like he's wearing the same outfit he is in Rogue One though.
When he's older,
but he has his legs.
He does have his legs.
Yeah.
So it's like before.
So I get it.
I think it's fine.
I get it.
Probably.
But I would have made him not that Forrest Whitaker is heavy, but I would have made him a little thinner. Because you know what I mean? Like, because he was really thin, obviously, when he's on Onderon, right? Is that
Onderon?
Onderon?
Yeah.
In Clone Wars.
In Clone Wars. Like, he's young and fit. And I just, he looks like he does in Rogue One, which is still about what 10 years
14,
away,
13, 14
yeah,
years.
still about.
Right.
But the first shot in Rogue One when Jyn is young is like
Yes.
really close to this game,
Oh,
right?
actually,
Because this game takes
wait.
place in 14
I forgot about that shot.
BBY.
So
What now?
This game takes place 5 years after
Order 66.
Order 66.
Okay, yeah, it does take 5 years.
5
okay,
years.
so 5
That's
years.
been confirmed.
right up against the prologue of Rogue One.
And that prologue is like maybe a year or two
Yeah.
later.
Is it really?
So it's like very close.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Well, then I stand corrected. That is what he looked like when he opened the
Yeah, it's
hatch.
pretty-
The hatch, yeah.
That's exactly
Come,
what he looked
child,
like.
come.
Yes.
Long ride.
Yeah. So that's okay. So I forgot about that shot. So that is him. Okay. So because Jyn is what? Jyn's 7 or 8 at that point.
I don't know. I can't remember. Around there, I guess.
So that's about right.
Yeah,
Because she was
around
born
there.
like during the Clone Wars,
Yes.
I think. So yeah. So she'd be 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. So that'd be around that time. So yeah, okay. Well, that's okay. That's continuity, I guess. That's canon. Interesting about because I'm assuming at that point he is an extremist.
Yeah.
And he's always been an extremist.
But yeah, what stage is the well? It's not the Alliance yet.
We don't know that.
But
Yeah.
that movement.
Is
what
he
stage
still
it?
working with? Because it does seem like in Rogue One when we meet the rest of the Alliance, they talk about Saw as if he's gone over the to
He's
the deep
gone
end.
past
At that
the
point,
line.
yeah.
But maybe now, like, is he working with people in the Alliance? But is he the only militarized version that's like actually?
I think
taking
he's
action?
the only one like destroying stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
I think he's only been that.
like in his mind, he's the only one actually fighting the fight.
Yes.
which I think is a really cool place to put.
Although
this game in Cal.
Although I think we will learn. Complete side note. I think we will learn in the Andor series and Cassian Andor series. Because you remember he says, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old, meaning he's been fighting a long time too. So whether or not he was out, like maybe he was part of Saul's thing, that would be cool. Twist.
That would be cool.
So I do think, like Force Unleashed, I think there's going to be a lot more cameos than just Saw Gerrera in this. Right?
I think
Yeah,
we got to
probably.
see Darth Vader at some
I
point.
totally think so.
I don't know who. I mean, there could be. I don't know. There could be other Rebel Alliance.
I think you see Mothma,
Yeah.
Bail.
That'd be awesome.
I think I think those people are popping
It's
up.
a big name that could pop up. What if we get
Ahsoka?
Ahsoka?
I know.
Or just a
Yeah.
fulcrum
Yeah.
thing,
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, completely.
Like it's just a fulcrum of how we saw her in the first season of Rebels, where it's just the voice and you see the fulcrum
Yes.
symbol. It's like, oh, we know who it is.
it could
you
be.
know.
It could be Cassian.
It could be Cassian too.
'Cause he was a fulcrum, right?
My head, but I can. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
something that your brother would love.
Maul?
Would be Darth
Oh,
Maul. Corey,
wow.
if you're watching, get hype.
with
Wow.
Crimson Dawn, if he just
Yeah.
comes in contact with him, it'd be kind of cool. Totally good.
Totally could.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Remind me when we start talking about Alphabet Squadron about Crimson Dawn.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
So anyway, but like you said, Casey, though the gameplay completely reminds me of the Arkham games.
Yeah.
I actually started playing. I was telling Cody, I started playing Arkham Knight recently. I know I'm way behind, but it's the same. It's Unreal. I think the Unreal Engine did that game. I think I looked it up. Unreal 3 was the Batman Arkham game. This is Unreal 4 that did the Jedi Fallen Order. So same render engine, game engine, but yeah, the movements. I feel like the movements kind of look the same, and the way the camera is. That if it's like the Batman games, man, I'm all over it. I am so all over it. But yeah, I think we only saw. I even think they. No, I don't think that was the Immortal game. But anyway, I barely think we've seen anything of this game.
Yeah.
Like I really do. I think we're going to be even more. I think we're going to be even more talking about the story more so than just the game.
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I've
saying?
heard great things about the company Respawn that's making the game and the story because they did these games I haven't played. I think they're more first-person shooter, but apparently the campaign in them, the stories are awesome. Titanfall 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, those were
I've
very
heard
popular games.
really good things just about the story. So if that's the case, like I'm totally on
I'm
board.
all
And the
about-
fact that it's canon and
Yeah.
we've got all these connections to Saw, like I think I'm super excited for the story.
Well, let's talk about that real fast, the canon of it, because, again, we were talking about it, it's like, this guy's got to die, right? I mean,
That's always the first question.
it is.
We're right back with Rebels.
But
when
it was
Rebels
just,
first started.
I mean, Dave Filoni
I mean, I
has
get it.
proven that.
I get it that he could go somewhere and hide, I guess.
All these Jedi are just hiding in the same place. They're all just going to some little planet
Yeah.
and they're all hiding.
Could he possibly, and I just thought of this, like, could he turn? Could you turn?
Become an Inquisitor.
Yes.
No, that's totally possible.
Right?
Or sacrifice
Vader?
himself.
Like you
kind of
confront
thing.
Vader and he.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, there's
Because Force Unleashed was kind
Yeah.
of like that, where you started
Yeah.
off as a dark side,
Yeah.
and then you
You
turn
to
good.
Yeah.
I would hate it for it to end on a downer like that, unless he sacrificed himself or he, kind of thing like that. Because there's in the gameplay trailer, there's a great monologue from Saw Gerrera, where it's like 2 lines, I think, when he says, "The Jedi are not lost, hope is not lost," kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's mostly correct what I just said, but
That dude is like he's like a soundbite.
yeah, he's a good
Star Wars soundbite machine.
It
Yeah,
is, yeah.
It was the Jedi are not all lost, I think is how he actually phrases it. But it's like that speech to me. It's got to end on a high note where if he does die, it's still maybe his legacy lives on, kind of thing. Again, which brings me back to Force Unleashed. But I don't know how I can't even.
Yeah,
I don't want him to die, obviously, but I think there could be ways around that. But it's hard. That's why it's so hard putting in this right there in the middle of your movies.
Well, just because you just got to remember for sure, even if he survives, by the time Kanan Jarrus comes and turns his lightsaber on, it's like there was a big surprise that a Jedi was around.
So Cal can't be involved with the rebellion
I
by the end of the game.
I don't think
right?
there's any way he can make it as a Jedi all the way till then.
Yeah.
Again, if he goes in hiding or he decides to just step away and just go live somewhere, I guess that's fine, but he can't be necessarily involved in the rebellion like Kanan and them were.
Right. It is already it's stretching it for me a little bit, but it's fine. That Saw is this aware of another Jedi.
Yes. Very true.
And he's not. Obviously, again, back to where we were kind of speculating about Kanan and Ezra. It's like obviously they're not in. I hate to say in the game. They're not in the mix of what's happening currently
Not
because
yet,
he's
no.
not being referenced in Rogue One or obviously the original films. But so he's got to be out of the picture in some fashion. So, but I do like so far what we've seen hasn't touched anything about his lightsaber or any of the other images we've seen of the ancient kind of Jedi language, whatever language alphabet. I guess that's not Arabesh. That language on the tablet
from the
alphabet.
There's something on Batu, Galaxy's Edge.
There's
What do
a
they call-
translator
What do
thing.
they call it? They called it something. Is
can't
it
remember.
from like the ancient Jedi text
Maybe
language?
I
Does
don't
it have
remember.
a name?
I
But it's
can't
not
say.
Arabish?
There's another
Arabish.
language in Star Wars
Yeah.
lore that's specifically to ancient Jedi.
Yeah. Well, because
But everything so people online have translated some of those images.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate to anything.
And it's just
It's all
gibberish.
gibberish, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
Come
true.
on, try a little harder, guys.
So I love those little Easter eggs because I can see that being an ending where he is leaving in a sense to explore the history of the Jedi, kind of like what Luke has done, or in this case will do. But very much like he goes to he exiles himself so that he can learn more about the Force, learn more about the Jedi. So.
Well, and part of
bring
the
him back.
part of the game's description is complete your training before the Inquisitors discover your plan to rebuild the Jedi Order.
Well, there you go.
Build the Jedi Order. Wow.
And you've got that. What's his master's name?
Sarah.
Sari?
I've heard 2
Sarah
pronunciations.
Junda?
Yeah. So she's a Jedi,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then you've got Cal. So it's like we talked about how many characters we could see, how many other Jedi
Survived.
that could pop up. And one kind of crazy theory that I've read is I haven't read the book, but I think you guys have the Aftermath Life Debt. Mm-hmm. There's a very small mention of can't remember the guy's name in the Empire who was served like a part of the Clone Wars when they had it was called the Last Stand of the Jedi that took place on some mountain fortress, and they referenced the name of the planet, but the girl narrating, I think it's
I can't remember.
She says it's like Modar or Madar or something. Like she says two different names of the planet. And so, but I think it's assumed that was the end of the Clone Wars era, that they had this last stand where all the Jedi came together and they had this fight, and then I guess they killed them. But how cool would that be as that like a last level where Cal is like with all these other Jedi, and it's like their last stand. I don't think the timeline actually lines up to like 5 years after.
Yeah, I would not. I don't think I would like a big, like a battle with like several Jedi. Like having two Jedi,
I would love it.
It would be super cool. But again, canon wise, I would have a problem with it. We already have two Jedi in this storyline. It's like, come on. Like I totally buy that there are other Jedi out there that weren't discovered and that are still like that live through this time, that lived through the original trilogy up until the sequel trilogy. I can totally buy that they were just hidden that entire time. But having Jedi come out into not the public, but come out to fight the fight, I have an issue with that because it just makes it harder to explain their absence. Is all because it's possible. There's always a way to explain their absence, but it just makes it harder. It creates more obstacles for you. Like you're creating your own conflicts basically to write around. So. Yeah, they can do it, and of course. But
you're talking about like by the time we get to A New Hope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because by the time you get to A New Hope, at least we're led to believe right now that people kind of have forgotten about like Jedis were myths. Like but if they keep popping up,
I know.
It's like stop. How could they ever be forgotten? You know?
Mm-hmm. Which
that's why I get it. The Kanan stuff is isolated. They were kind of a small group of rebels, and they weren't really galactic at the time.
Kanan died. Ezra went away, thought to be dead. Ahsoka's not a Jedi anymore.
Yes, and you can still kind of go like you said. You can still kind of go use the fact that the galaxy is
exactly
huge.
Yes,
and it shows the power that the Emperor had. When the Empire was started, that he just got rid of any sort of history. And really controlled. They don't really, you don't see it a lot, but really controlled just information spread in the galaxy. We don't really know officially how information spreads. They don't really talk about. Do they have a hollow internet type thing that he just put a lot of censorship on?
The use of I think that was.
Is HoloNet still canon?
Yeah, so the HoloNet, the information, like he restricted access to that. During the Empire, so yes, less information could get out.
Controlled it.
He controlled it more. Yeah,
he even controlled his own image within that.
That's right.
It's just myths and stories is how it's all being spread. Because I even think back now to Galaxy's Edge and Batu. You can hear, you can hear people talking about the stories and myths of the fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. And there's dolls you can buy. People have made an homage to this great battle that happened, and myths about Rey. And so definitely that the stories I feel like can spread quickly, but they're just regarded as myths.
Agree. Because you think about it, very similar to the time between 6 and 7. Luke is around, and Luke is in the forefront. Like everybody knows about.
He only been gone for 5 years or something like that.
Exactly,
right?
Leading up to Episode 7, right? Like all of a sudden, it's like Luke, he's a myth. The Jedi were real. Like Rey's even saying that. Like the Jedi were real. Like wasn't he around? The 20 or plus years after.
Didn't he supposedly bring down a Star Destroyer? Isn't that in the Legends of Luke Skywalker?
People
they don't know if it's true or not, but like if a dude
so
brought
it
down
seems
a Star
like
Destroyer,
there was more going on with the Jedi or even Luke Skywalker after the Galactic Civil War than there was during the Dark Times, and but somehow by the time we get to Force Awakens, it's like the Jedi are a myth. It's like I
guess the New Republic did a really
Jakku.
bad job of writing history books because
I
like you'd
guess.
think if they
Bad
won a war
PR.
with a Jedi,
Yeah.
everybody would know his name, right? Like,
and it would restore the credibility of the Jedi, because obviously that was destroyed by Palpatine.
yeah,
So, and we kind of talked about that all the time, where when is the Jedi going to be redeemed? When is not just individual like Vader, but like when is the Jedi being redeemed? Because it was just under a false pretense that they were the evil group that took over the galaxy. So
Right. Yeah.
anyway, Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple is going to be the comic series that is tied to this game. Like we talked about these Jedis a little bit, but so it's Siri.
Say what it's Star Wars. I think you can
I
pronounce
think
it
you
however
just
want.
you may it's
Say it
Siri
with confidence.
and
Say it with confidence.
and Uno Cordova are a pair of Jedi that fans are definitely going to want to know about more. And this comic will tell the part of their story, and you won't get anywhere else. That's the writer, Matthew Rosenberg. So this comes out in September of this year, 5-part series leading up to the release of the game. So Sira Junda is the woman Jedi that's in the game. So obviously she picks up her saber again and starts. Maybe.
Yeah.
trains Cal. Yeah, It's really interesting. Like,
So it's interesting that she's not his original master, according to what it looks like in this.
They
yeah.
just meet.
They just meet
Oh, I'm a
up.
Jedi too.
Yeah.
So she was. Does that thing say was she a Jedi Knight at the time of the Clone Wars?
It doesn't
Order
say
66.
yet. It doesn't say in here. At least what I'm reading, it doesn't say.
I mean, she's
It
older
says-
than him, so I guess
She could have been
she
at
could
the
be
end
a
of her
Padawan.
training.
Yeah.
Yeah, still apprentice, whatever.
It definitely looks like on the cover, kind of an Order 66 kind of thing, where they're just getting blasted. Maybe that's Order 66.
Yeah, it does because it doesn't specifically say it leads up to
No.
the story.
It's a prequel.
It's just because based on that synopsis, it just sounds like it's just a mission with these Jedi. It doesn't have. anything
Yeah, I
to do
think it
with
sets
Order
up her
66.
story and probably how she goes into hiding is what
that'd be
is
great.
what I'm guessing.
One small critique of the game, I'm just thinking about hearing about her. I'm like, where is she on all this gameplay with her lightsaber? Why aren't they both just
She may not have
traipsing
one.
around?
Yeah,
Cal got one, but
we'll
she
take,
did
we'll
it.
take care of it. And hers got broken. She can't rebuild it.
Right.
He found one. Or it's like they both saw it. Like, and then Cal just kept it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So that's November. Of course, I know we'll talk more as things get released. But another announcement at E3, which I thought was exciting, was the new Lego game coming.
Absolutely.
The Skywalker Saga.
Yes.
Like, I am like super stoked. Now, this doesn't come out till 2020, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. After the film.
It's going to
comes out.
have Episode 9,
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
Which hasn't been developed yet because the developers don't know anything about the movie.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, so that's why it's probably way in 2020.
Maybe. I don't know.
They don't know,
I don't know how
oh
fast
my
they can
gosh,
develop
that's
it.
true. Yeah, how could they finish the game? Because then they would know everything.
Interesting.
Wow.
I mean, maybe they'll give them some time, like a month before the movie comes out. They'll start developing it so it's ready by spring of
Yeah.
2020. I don't know, but
They probably have like the skins and everything.
Yeah.
And then they just got to fill in
Certain-
like certain
we
characters.
have 3 assets rendered out. Okay.
Kylo,
Yeah.
Rey, and Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure what happens with
yeah.
them yet.
They're just in a blank
But I
space.
love I played through all the complete saga.
Yeah.
Well, it was the complete saga. But you were mentioning too that to make sure everybody knows that this is all new game. Like, it's not like just adding
Sure.
the 3, 7, 8, 9 to because because I bought for my daughters. I bought them the Force Awakens Lego game, so it's not that apparently.
And they didn't do a Last
Right.
Jedi one, right?
Different. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that it's new, all new levels and design. Like they've made it new with the
I mean, it's just the gameplay itself is new. It's more. Even this is more open world, is how they're explaining it. Slightly more. You can planet hop.
Oh,
basically.
wow.
You can. It's crazy.
Jeez.
It's like
I hope it's the story, like the whole thing, though. You
you can
that'd
play
be-
the story, yeah. But let's say
go through each episode.
like you go to a planet. By then you unlock that planet, and if you decide to go back to a planet you've already unlocked, you can go
Just
back
go
and
back to
forth
it. Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want
yeah.
back and forth. Even planet like let's say you play.
Because you could do that in these other games. recent
But
ones.
you have to go to like there's based on levels though, right? You have to exit that mission. Then you're back into like the home base level.
Oh,
and you
yes,
select your
maybe,
next
maybe.
mission.
Yeah.
So you can definitely go back and forth on missions, but this will feel more seamless. It sounds like but let's say you played through the episode 7 game and you got to Starkiller Base, and then you move to next you want to play episode 2. And then you're working through Tatooine. It's like, oh wait, I want to go to Starkiller Base. Then because you played episode 7 first, you can go from Tatooine to Starkiller Base.
Interesting.
Because you unlock that planet, so it reaches across all the films, all the games.
So you time travel.
You time travel.
That's cool.
And yeah, so even so, because all the other Lego games have been very, I don't know if you want to call them flat, but it's one direction basically,
Yeah,
right? You kind of
totally.
you go one way or the other. Where this, you can move the camera around, you can rotate. It's just a totally new gameplay interface in that sense, where it's
okay.
it's gonna feel like a traditional game. That's what makes me really excited.
And are the old ones you can play with like 2 people, right? Like it's
yeah,
co-op.
I think on the same screen though too. I think it's like you're
Okay.
always stuck on the same screen. I think
Okay.
that's right. I only played
Always
the
stuck.
first. I only played the episode 1 game. But
The Force
It's on
Awakens
split
one.
screen,
The
right?
Force Awakens one. If you walk away, it splits it.
okay,
The screen
that's what-
splits,
Oh,
and then when you're in the same
That's what it
area,
is.
it
Okay.
combines it.
Okay.
That's cool.
But you can walk away. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, because the Incredibles game is like that.
Okay.
Incredibles 2, the Lego game, they do the same thing. But I remember like the Saga ones. It's like there's like, I mean, hundreds of characters you got to unlock.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I think
That'd be
the other
sweet.
new thing is it's a full voice cast. They're not just mumbling.
Yes, that's
They're
good
just
too.
going,
Yes.
They're actually talking this time.
Yes. So they do that in Incredibles. They have
Okay.
a voice cast.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yep, they do have the voice cast. Yeah.
Very cool.
It feels like we're getting in that time for Star Wars games where like they're going to start to churn out more and
Oh,
different
man, I
types
hope.
of games. And like I just think back to that like early 2000s when we had like multiple games coming out. It was like anywhere from like the original Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast to like getting KOTOR
Yep.
in there, and then you had the Republic Commando game. You had just a lot of games coming out in like a 5-year span.
Yeah,
Just-
that's true.
I want to get to that point.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Like try new
Maybe.
games, new things. If one doesn't make a ton, like just keep
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I said before, I started Alphabet Squadron, the audiobook from Alexander Freed, who most people know. I think he wrote the Rogue One novelization and Battlefront Twilight Company. I think, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I got to be honest, it's really good so far. Like, I do like his writing. I think the story's setting up really well. I'm only a few chapters in, three chapters in. So I'm not even getting to, because it's a long book. Actually, it's about 13 and a half hours on audio, which is pretty long compared to usually it's like a 10 or 11 hour novel. But so pretty awesome. I will mention just that one thing I was saying about that. That this takes place now. So we were kind of talking about this, Casey, when I first started, because I was wondering when this took place, and I haven't really found like a full explanation of when. But what I've noticed is that in the first part of this book, it really does a point to talk about Operation Cinder from Battlefront 2. And there is no mention at all so far yet of the Battle of Jakku. So I think this takes place during that year, sometime during that year between Episode 6 and the Battle of Jakku. You had talked about possibly Sindar lasting that whole time. I think it only lasts a few months.
Okay.
I think Sindar is, at least I think that is stopped a few months before Jakku. So I think this takes place right in between there. And basically the premise is there's a elite TIE unit that's still out there. It's called Shadow Wing. And your squadron is put together to go after Shadow Wing. And Shadow Wing is responsible for like taking out like so many different rebels and starships and all this stuff. So it's pretty cool. And I haven't got to that point yet where they're fully put together yet. They're kind of piecing them together right now. But the lead person, what's her name? I can't believe I forgot her name already.
There's a lot of them, so it's okay.
Yeah,
there's a lot of characters.
Gosh, I can't remember. I can't believe I forgot. Anyway, so she's the main protagonist of the former Imperial. What's pretty neat, as I was telling Casey too, it's pretty neat that what you're learning about this is shortly after the Battle of Endor and kind of the reforming of the New Republic. Obviously, a lot of people stayed loyal to the Empire, but a lot of people defected, right? And it's funny because at this point, which is I guess months after, our protagonist is there and she's seeing basically these transports come with new defectors, and she makes the mention that when they come in that they're screened, because they don't want to be spies or whatever, right?
Interesting.
They're screened. They have to prove their loyalty. They're under supervision as they get assigned. And she says, and she makes a point to say, like as each day passes, and new defectors come in, those are less trustworthy because it's taken them this long to defect. Right? So it's like, it's really,
that's a really good
it's a really
setting
interesting
for like a TV show.
Totally, right?
Like just that whole like
the last one to come in as if they
like
know.
You have somebody come in who is the antagonist of the entire show, and I mean that would be a really interesting show. But it sounds like the book's going to be very cool as well.
Yeah, I've read some non-spoiler reviews from people that have done the book already, and a lot of them are claiming that this is the best novel that's come out.
Wow, that's high praise. Now I heard that it did
Quell. Her name's Quell.
Quell.
Shoot, yeah, I can't believe I forgot Quell.
I heard it. Did it get announced that they're going to do a trilogy of books in this same characters or whatever?
Yes, Alpha Squadron is going to be a trilogy of books.
That's really cool.
As well as the tie-in comics, which I haven't gotten yet. I think they started, but the tie-in comic is the Shadow Wing side.
Is it prequel to, or is it concurrent?
Concurrent. I think it's concurrent. Now, I'm not 100% sure about that.
That's cool.
But I think the comic is concurrent because it's on the cover of the book. It says the cover of the book. It says a Marvel Del Rey crossover event.
Nice.
So So I think Shadow Wing. You're getting the Shadow Wing perspective because the TIE fighter is on the cover. The TIE pilot's on the cover. So anyway,
very cool.
Very cool. I'm going to dive into all that. I'm going to keep reading that. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so real quick before we get into our main topic, Star Wars Celebration.
Wait, we just did
Came
that.
out of nowhere.
We just did that.
Talking about the one that we just did? That was great.
In just over a year, August 27th to the 30th, it's been announced that Star Wars Celebration Anaheim will fall on those dates. StarWarsCelebration.com has already been updated. It's got the countdown going, 435 days. Tickets go on sale Friday.
Yeah.
This Friday?
This Friday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
June
hotel
21st.
blocking too, right? Can you get your hotel this Friday as well?
Totally. Yeah. All that goes on sale this weekend.
Wow. Seems soon.
Late August, right? Next year? So?
August 27th to the 30th. Now they went back to the 4-day, not the 5-day. So it's a Thursday through Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
There's a 4-day.
Smart.
There's obviously a 4-day, 1-day adults, 4-day kids.
I've already got the website up and everything.
Yeah, they got the Jedi package, which is $900.
Wow.
Jedi Master package. Lotteries again, Lightspeed, virtual panels are going to be doing.
They're already putting all this stuff out there. That's
Who needs a badge? Badge mailing deadline. You got 4-day adult. The prices of that, it's $195 for the 4-day.
Wow, they're already saying that. Wow, this is great.
The 5-day, if you remember, for Chicago is $150.
Oh wow!
So they've upped the prices for the 4-day.
Interesting.
And it's $205 at the door, which is only $10 more, which doesn't make sense. Because I think in Chicago I want to say it was I think Chicago was $200, so I think it was $50 more.
Wow.
To buy at the door, and then it was $75 for individual tickets. These are still $75 a day.
They're really trying to ride off the wave of the most recent celebration and get
They
people,
are.
get
I'll
people
pay whatever.
in early.
Yeah, I know. And I got to say, I know Chicago was touted or factually is the biggest convention in the country. Anaheim is really big. Now, I know neither of you went to Anaheim.
Right.
You went to Orlando and Chicago.
Yeah.
You went to Orlando, Chicago. I went to the Anaheim one back in 2015, right? The year Force Awakens came out. And I still got to say, I love going to Orlando, but the experience in Anaheim was the smoothest I had ever seen.
Was
Star
it
Wars
still Reed?
I think it was. And I felt like it was spread out better.
Yeah.
You know, it was like they had different levels where everything happened. They had queue rooms, you know, in those levels still. So like I remember, because that was when they premiered season 2 of Rebels.
Right.
And I waited in this big room just down the hall from it for about, 2-3 hours before, and then we got in, saw the premiere. I mean, it was great. I felt like the queues for the big main stage, because they have what Chicago has. They have an arena there. So, a couple thousand people. And I didn't make it in because we flew in that morning when they had the episode 7 panels. So we had gotten to the convention right when the trailer dropped. So we didn't get into there then. But, I don't know. And the best part about it, and I think I've mentioned it on here, is, Anaheim. It's nice out. It's always sunny outside.
Yeah.
I remember the first day, it was me, Charles, and Chad. And Rainey met us there too. And we were sitting there out, doing our thing. And we're like, man, let's go find some food. But, we're in, there's food all over the place. Let's go walk down the street or something to find that. So we didn't want just, whatever food court food, right?
Yeah. Convention.
Yeah.
We walk
Chicken
outside of the main convention there, and there's this big concrete strip full of food trucks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! They made a killing that weekend. I'm sure.
I bet, man.
So we ate there every meal. I mean, they had like burgers and chicken and salads and steaks. I mean, it was incredible. So anyway, looking forward to that for sure.
Looking forward to the food.
But anyway, so Anaheim Star Wars Celebration. It's a great. It's hopefully it's the same way. I think it's. I think they did it really good there. Now, obviously, though, then they didn't have the virtual panels and stuff like that. So,
Is it talk about the light system
Lightspeed.
or just LOITE, the service that to
buy the
sell
tickets?
your tickets and to buy tickets that
I
are
don't
sold?
see that yet. I don't see that mentioned here.
Does it
yet.
give the prices for the master?
$900?
Wow.
Jedi Master is $900.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I'll take 2.
Yes.
So, and of course, just remind everybody, I think they usually only sell. See, they used to have 2. They used to have Jedi Knight and Jedi Master.
Right.
And the Jedi Knight, they only had 250, and the Jedi Master, they only had 50. So now there was only the Jedi Master package, which I think there's 250. But what you get half-hour early access to Exhibit Hall, half-hour early access to the official Celebration store each day, exclusive Celebration store preview experience, Jedi Master Express checkout lane at the official Celebration store, unlimited use of the Lightspeed lane to enter the official Celebration store,
If it works.
Lightspeed lane autograph hall line pass, priority access to all panels on the Celebration stage. That is the biggest thing to me.
Yeah, the access to the
You
main
get the front
stage.
part there. Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
anyway,
So what? This is 2020 August. The next movie isn't until 2022.
two.
So is the big thing is going to be a TV show?
Well, I guarantee we get more. I think you get more of what. I'm sure it's announced beforehand what Benioff and Weiss are working on. That's probably maybe there's some shooting by then.
I
or
would think some shooting. By then.
there's some concept art or something that they talk about.
They've started that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's the Andor series that's coming would be announced there. I think talked about there. next season of Mandalorian. You know,
Resistance,
whatever else is coming on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to talk about.
The Obi-Wan series.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. The Obi-Wan
definitely.
series.
What-
Ewan McGregor will be there.
Yeah.
That would be a thing to make the like marquee event.
They would need to
around
say that before a celebration, though. If
to get people to.
yes,
Yes,
because I
totally.
don't think there's gonna be that many people.
I
to
think
go.
you do need a hype event. Like
Yeah.
because if they do one in 2021, you got to assume that's the one where they show a trailer for the Benioff and Weiss movie.
Could they do this annually? I don't know if this
I
is
don't
surprising that they did this the next year. I'm highly surprised.
I wonder.
Have they never done it?
They've never
2
done
years
it in
a
the
row?
States.
2 years in a
Now
row.
the next
Okay.
year has been in Europe,
Yeah.
but it's never been back to back in the States. So it's surprising, and you know this to me, what this is setting up to do, and I'm completely could be off here, but D23 is every other year in Anaheim in August. D23 is not next year, so this could be setting up an every other year,
Yeah.
opposite of D23.
Right.
Because D23 is this year, Celebration was this year. It's like some people had to kind of pick probably which one they wanted to go to.
Yeah.
This gives somebody, but I hope they don't keep it in Anaheim every year. I hope they bring it to Orlando or back to Chicago or even
Just
Indianapolis
bounce it.
again.
Bounce it from Orlando to Anaheim. Do that.
Yes, I agree with that.
every other year. I definitely was thinking the D23 alternate, but then also in a way it's like they almost need it to try to keep the momentum going in this new era of Star Wars, because they, you know, I don't think as many people will go to the celebration, but they may be doing it just so they can try to bring hype for these new slate of films and everything. That's the only thing also I can think of.
There's got to be some kind of announcement.
Yeah, if there's not a film coming out that year, it is going to be rough, I feel
Yeah.
like. I mean, there'll still be fans. It'll still be exciting. There'll still be announcements for the Disney Plus and
It'll
the
be 2 years
animated.
before. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I mean, unless somehow they've got some like Dave Filoni special, his last series, the
Yeah.
Ahsoka and Sabine, like that.
Yeah,
that
no.
may be big enough to like make it the big panel
Yeah.
that year.
But I think you got to after episode 9, kind of dies down, which would be probably the March, April. You've got to start making announcements for this thing. Like what's coming. What's at that point, Disney Plus is out. You've got to have kind of a rollout of what's coming on. I think you will know a lot more in the first part of the year of 2020 to know that okay, this is what they're going to be talking about. I think there's going to be more talk about the movie early next year, what they're working on, the trilogy of stuff. So
yeah.
of course, like you said, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely.
Yeah.
It's going to be Saturday.
It's going to be Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all. That's kind of the big news. I do want to just talk briefly about as we continue our journey to episode 9 and kind of tying in. Where we talked last week really heavily about Dooku. You weren't on the show, Cody, but Dooku's a big, kind of a big topic right now with Master and Apprentice and his own audio series. I did want to hit on because again with Alphabet Squadron. I did kind of want to talk about this whole formation of the New Republic and, just because, of course, in episode 2, you had kind of the start of the destruction of the Republic, right? You had the Confederacy that was trying to overthrow it, and the Republic was around for about 1,000 years. The Galactic Empire gets formed, but then now that they're defeated and you have the New Republic, I guess I was kind of thinking like, what is, as we look to episode 9, because again, the whole government again has been decimated, right? Cosnian Prime destroyed. What we know of all the senators and the chancellor, they're all gone. So now it's like, okay, so what's next now? Is it still the Republic? Are we going to know about a new government in the episode 9? Because apparently this is a year later. What have they done? The First Orders, I don't know if they're... Because that's the thing, too, is I kind of thought about this, too. I'm like, when Starkiller Base was destroyed, it's like, I mean, a lot of the First Order was killed there,
I think so. Yeah,
but you still had the fleet, like their whole like not Imperial First Order fleet.
Whoever was with Snoke on his ship, I'm blanking the name.
His yeah, I don't. It wasn't a dreadnought, was it?
No.
But his capital ship or something like
Yeah.
that. But you have so you have all the First Order, but I don't feel like they. I mean, I don't think they established like a government, or like
no, it's just probably just chaos.
you know what I mean?
Sounds-
Yeah.
it
So
sounds like it's more fear based.
so what
Tyranny.
What do
Yeah.
we think? What do we think is going to be established, or is there something established by the time this movie starts in Episode 9 as far as government? Because with the small band of resistance fighters, and then you have the First Order. It's like if I'm sitting on Naboo, I'm like, wait a minute, who's running the
All of
galaxy?
a sudden,
Like
going on
what
here?
what rules? Who's policing the? I don't know. I just kind of thought about that and what kind of
Like a new Senate.
Because-
Well, it could be a way to
because
like,
the whole thing about the Clone Wars, the start of the Clone Wars, and again, you can look at it from different points of view, but the main point of view from the bystander was that the Confederacy of Independent Systems felt like the Republic was corrupt. And they were trying to convince senators and worlds that there's corruption going on there. We need to form our own society so that we can stay pure. So there's a natural formation there of trying to make the government better. Well, the First Order just wiped out the government, and it's like,
we are the government.
I don't know what
now.
So it's not that it's not that
we are
the
the government
Republic. That's the thing too. It's not that the Republic ever failed. I mean, it was manipulated by
Yeah,
a
exactly.
Sith Lord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do they go back to that? Do they? I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there to see.
The Jedi involvement. I think it would be interesting to see what they end up using Leia for in The Rise of Skywalker, because that could be an area where I don't know what they have left over from the scenes with Carrie Fisher, but maybe there's a way to sort of have a great moment with her and kind of write her off like she's going to go prepare some of these things. And like we're not going to see it all take place on screen, but like you get the idea that like our heroes are going to fight the fight, but Leia's going to like rally the systems or the find doesn't she mention that they have a lot of like resistance in the outer rim
Yeah, I think
that
some-
they're
they
still
get
waiting
friends.
to hear back
Yeah.
from, and we assume we're going to see them in the movie in some
Yeah.
point, but maybe that's a way to like give her like a story arc, and then you could maybe have like subsequent novels about
Sure.
reforming
That'd be cool. Yeah.
whatever it's going to be called.
I just
They're
feel like
called Skywalker.
I just feel like they're reforming now, unlike after Battle of Jakku. You still have Coruscant there. You still have all the senators. You still have the Senate. The building.
Was the Senate on Coruscant in, or was
No.
it was Hosnian Prime? Right?
Hosnian Prime,
Yeah,
because the New Republic. So Mothma became the first chancellor, and one of the things they decided was they wanted to move. They wanted to move the Senate around, so it actually got established first on Chandrila, her homeworld, for literally almost 3 decades, and shortly before Episode 7, it had moved to Hosnian Prime. So they were going to switch it off instead of just keeping it on Coruscant. But again, like everybody was just killed. It's like, where do you start? I mean that is unprecedented versus everybody being there and just now the Emperor's gone. I mean, it's like literally, think about it. It's like taking the Death Star and destroying Coruscant with all the senators on there.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, where, how do you? I don't know. I mean, you have
Well, there's no protocol for it, so what do we do?
Yeah.
There's a number of things we could do, but
I wonder if
it's just
there's
chaos. Everybody doing their own
examples
thing.
in like real history, because I do think Star
Yeah.
Wars sometimes draws from history about any country that suffered genocide. How did
Gets
they
overthrown.
recover from
Yeah.
it?
That's funny. It just popped in my head. Did you ever see the show Designated Survivor?
Like the
With
first
Kiefer
season.
Sutherland?
a few
Yeah,
episodes at the beginning, but
the first
I'm
season
not
I did, yeah.
caught
So,
up with
so
it.
apparently that's real world. That's how we as a U.S. government, how we counter a mass attack on our government. Like so during in that show, the first thing that happens is during the Capitol building where the president is and all the people, it gets blown up. So everybody gets killed. So there's a designated survivor that's off site that immediately steps in as president once this happens. So yes, did they have like a chancellor?
Could somebody come into
You're
9
saying Jack Bauer's going to come in.
and be a
Exactly.
new-
Star Wars
new
9.
character? Are there any
Could
new
there be a
characters?
designated
Yeah.
survivor, for the chancellor, or a whole nother group of senators or politicians
the
that
emergency
are,
government. Or
yeah,
whatever.
that's off world somewhere? That
heard-
would be smart.
When I heard about Holdo, I was like, okay, she's a survivor from the New Republic. She was out somewhere like getting
right.
a drink or some,
But she's an admiral, though.
Yeah,
But she was an
and
admiral, yeah.
she wasn't. But when I first heard about her,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. She'll be a New Republic survivor
Right.
who will come in and aid the resistance and
Yeah.
kind of be that driving force. That'd be a really good inclusion
Yeah.
to Rise of Skywalker.
I do.
like that idea.
I do think we'll pick up in Rise of Skywalker. I like to see it as just chaos. Like the First Order is still trying to gain control because the way it said in Last Jedi Crawl is that now there's basically I think it was like pockets or the cells of Snoke's little cells across the galaxy are now rising up. So it feels like there were still pockets of First Order spread across the galaxy, and now suddenly they're all active and they're all trying to take control. But it's only been a year, so I would still think maybe they're still trying to take control. But I would like to see, in a way, like a protocol thing when this mass attack happens, that all the individual planets would then just kind of batten down the hatches and, in a way, just become their own
Governments.
little government,
Yeah.
the local government.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they will be fighting off.
And they
First
do
Order.
have that. I mean, they do have governors, and
Yeah.
security forces on their own planets.
There's just
And maybe there's
futile.
I mean, it
First
probably
Order.
makes sense because of the Death Star and what happened to Alderaan and all that stuff. It's like you probably should have a backup senator, one that's there on the at the Senate, and then one that's homeworld. So you could probably have. I'm just curious on how they pick a chancellor if there's a vice chancellor, because we've never heard of a vice chancellor really.
I don't think so.
But yeah, because I'm not really a political person, but I actually like hearing the political stories, especially like with Padme and Bail and them, and intrigued by Mothma and stuff like that. And then of course, you have the book Bloodline, which kind of really
that.
tapped
Yes.
into the political side
Yeah.
of this era. The fact that Leia was like, what was the first senator they were trying to
make her first senator.
senator, which was running the government, because Mothma was on her way out, or she was sick, I think, right, or
Yeah.
something like that. But then the whole Vader thing happened. But it's just it's just interesting to know. I'm just interested that now it's been a year. It's like where's the state of the government stand and the First Order? That's the thing too. Is a Palpatine. It was interesting to, he wasn't necessarily against the government necessarily. I mean, he actually for 19 years let the Senate still operate.
Yeah. So you just,
You know what I mean?
Just do
I
what
am the
you
Senate.
want.
Yeah.
You just do what you want, but
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he sat there and let them bicker and let them but he had his influence. I'm sure.
Yeah.
He finally dissolved it, right before the end. But
he just got tired of it.
I guess, I mean, why did he? I wonder, why he just that would be a killer story. Like, the session is open, and he's like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're done here.
I can see like a Robot Chicken thing. He's just like sitting there bored and like the big arena, just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
I
Yeah.
dissolve the Senate.
Like, what was the moment that set him over the edge? Was it
Yeah.
just boring?
It's- All right, that's
Hearing
I
the
don't know.
same person's complaints.
Yeah.
Tired
Or just
of you.
or maybe it was so boring, nothing was even happening. They're just all sitting there,
I
super
guess.
quiet, big old
Yeah.
echoey room. They're just like, okay, just leave. You're done.
That's done.
I dissolve you.
Anyway, okay, so just interesting talk to still tie that stuff in as we head to episode 9. I think that's all I got. I do want to mention, and I'm so bad at this, Cody, you're more of the. I know you're more the Reddit guy and maybe reading that stuff. But anyway, I failed to mention this. We actually I started a Facebook group.
Right.
That I'm trying to get people to talk about in. It's so hard because I know that there's other groups out there, and I'm not a big part of Facebook groups. So, but I wanted to start one. I wanted to kind of start some conversations in a way. So if you guys want to search it, it's just go to our Facebook page, Inside the Force, facebook.com/Inside the Force, and then there should be a link right there to our group that you can join. I got some nice little questions on there. I don't think you guys saw that because I made you guys already members.
Oh, we don't get flagged probably for
maybe not. But if you want to join, there's some questions you got to answer that are very Star Wars related.
If you got any Palpatine theories, I'd love to read them.
So
just share your Palpatine theories, Episode 9 theories. I love speculation and theories.
When's it going to be your Palpatine theory sucks? When's that going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
See, I feel like you should flip it though. Make it more positive for fans. Like everyone's Palpatine theory is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you have a chance.
Yeah. I do want to mention this last thing before we wrap up. Along the lines, because again, like I said, I'm a big canon person, right? There was a tweet a couple days ago. Someone tweeted out to Leland Chee and Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo, I don't know if you noticed, but Pablo's actually responding a little bit better
he's
on Star Wars
more,
again.
Yeah.
So anyway, he asked, are the movie novelizations pre-reboot still canon? Because this is a big question I've had. In fact, I've asked Leland Chee in person this question.
I know. I feel
That was back in Anaheim.
I feel like this is already... Yeah, been answered.
So this is how this, the answer that I remember was, if it lines up with the movie,
right,
it's canon.
Yeah, whenever it's directly contradicts what's on screen, that's obviously not true.
But here's how Pablo answered it right away. He says, it depends on your definition of the word.
Of course it does.
Some say yes.
The word canon?
It says some say yes in that there are adaptations of canon stories.
Okay.
And the events line up in a broad sense. But people really into detail say no because of the differences, in parentheses, Luke being Blue 5 and Owen and Ben being brothers. Because that was in the original novelization of Star Wars. And he says, what's the official word from the powers that be? Same guy replied. And then Pablo says, I try not to use the word canon.
I could have guessed that his answer because he's done that before. Dialogue canon, all this stuff. I mean, I get it. They are trying to. They're definitely establishing this canon, but they're also trying to leave it flexible to where, like how you said it, the events that occur, the broad strokes, that is canon.
The
details of what was specifically said, the
that's right.
positioning in rooms, the
completely,
clothes that they were wearing, that can be interpreted. Like you weren't there, I wasn't there. Who's to say?
Yeah.
Vader cut off Luke's hand, but did he say I'm your father?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm just gonna go ahead and say strong disagree.
I know. Yeah,
Pablo, if you're out there, I think it's a pretty non-answer.
Yeah,
I think what happened, and you can't just say, well, they may have said this or they may have said that. Because it just makes it too easy to be like, well, there's different versions and we can't keep track of it all.
Yeah.
Because
that's basically what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, I think they're trying also to go back to it, to presenting it as these are like Galaxy Quest. These are historical documents that were being presented to by whatever they were being shown. It's like the Journal of the Wills. It's almost like it's a long time ago, Galaxy Far, Far Away, where this is a story that we're being told, written by these accounts, written by these people who witnessed it, who heard it, and that kind of stuff. So the main events are right, but the details, they weren't there, we weren't there. It's all passed down. So to me, I can justify it canon-wise by they're trying to play into that fact where these are just stories from the galaxy that are passed down to us, and so it's not detailed canon. But if it's in the movie, if it's on screen, that happened. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
When I read the Princess Farm Boy Scoundrel novelizations, they definitely took liberties of dialogue, even and adding certain things here and there, and adding scenes. Which is adding scenes is fine. I'm okay with that because if we didn't see it, who's to say it didn't happen?
Didn't happen, right? But
when you have different, like iconic lines being different, it's like I feel like you're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah,
for spite. That's just my impression of it. But to me, in my mind, it's like, well, that's just I just let it go. Honestly, it's like I don't think that. Obviously, I hold movies as pure canon.
They should almost go back to the G canon thing and say,
Sure.
if they're going to say this, say what's said in the books is not what happened, but it's a retelling of what happened.
Well, I think they need to, personally, in my opinion, these being pre-reboot, that was my thing with Leland when I asked him. I was like, are they going to reissue?
Yeah.
Like, fix it.
I think they should. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do new novelizations of the books and make them canon.
Right.
That's how you solve that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll do that. I mean, they kind of did that with those three, which is weird. But
that works.
But those were young adult novels.
Yeah.
They weren't they weren't like what they did with Rogue One and the ones they're doing now, Solo episode, which is great because, like you said, there are extra scenes in those books. So it does make them better to me
and
sometimes.
Held as canon.
Yeah, and they should be held as canon. Yeah, but I think you have to come out with brand new novelizations if you're gonna not just reprints with the same or the different cover. Like have somebody rewrite it.
Yeah,
have somebody rewrite those novelizations,
right?
And make and that's what I would do.
I've heard a version of that answer from Pablo, and I can't remember what it was from. Maybe you told me, Casey, or maybe I read it where he talked about episode 4. The scene where
Solo shot first scene.
Not that scene, but the scene where the very beginning where you've got all the
the moth standing in line.
Yeah,
room?
and
Yeah,
he's like
positioning of it.
Where they stood in the room is not canon. What they said isn't canon, but the fact that they were both there is canon.
Like what it's like happened in result of
it's
the
like
scene.
If you think about it that way, then it's like okay, well the scene where. In Force Awakens, spoilers, where Kylo kills Han.
Yeah.
He killed Han, but did Han call him Ben or did he call him Poophead?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not. It's
any number of things like that. Dude.
Yeah.
You play into that. Yeah, all the theories from that scene.
Yeah, it is a way to cover your behind.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
But real quick, Leland did chime in. He's in. I don't.
Good
This
old
isn't really.
holocron keeper.
This isn't really that relevant. But he says, when I use the word, it doesn't mean the same things as it does for fans. For one thing, our frame of reference includes everything currently in production at their various stages, not all of which will see the light of day. There are also things that are done for various reasons involving gameplay, other specifics to the medium, and production considerations like time and cost. I don't know. That's kind of a weird way of going about it, but it's like a little tangent. But I feel like that he's trying to explain. But things in development, things in various stages, they are considering those as they work.
That goes in line with what I've heard. I think we read it from Leland Shee, where it's not obviously it's not canon until it's a published, finished work.
Yes, no, that's been
so like the animatics can be retconned very easily
because it's not finished work,
and they already are. I think going to be.
They are
going to be in the new episodes of Clone Wars.
That's right.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Cody, coming out.
Yeah, of course.
Case, of course, obviously, being here. We will be back next week. Guys, again, we are 183 days away from the rise of Skywalker, the final chapter in the Skywalker saga. Lots of things to keep talking about as we continue our journey. Thanks, everybody. Go to InsideTheForce.com for Case Cooley.
The world is coming undone. Imperial flags reign across the galaxy.
That's pretty good. The voice is actually pretty good.
That was a good song. That was awesome.
That was a good song.
That was good.
Have a great week, everybody. He's Cody.
See ya.
He's Casey.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave. May the Force be with you.